Hi, my name is Samuel James Price, and every day I do the Crypto Lifer Show. I'm the Crypto Lifer, and together with the Lifers, we make the best show in all of the internet. And I take an excerpt right here, which is 3 to 5 minutes of the best news, fastest news, most entertaining and informative news that you can find. We give it to you here every single day, hot and ready. Let's talk about it now. Some of this news moves the market. Some of it's interesting, and some of it actually shows you what's going to happen to a bigger project. What I like about it is like legacy Web3, like maybe Amazon working with Matic or things of those nature. I'm not saying that did happen. I'm just putting two ideas together. I love when I see stuff like that. So Bitcoin cannot remain indifferent to dollar index for long, analyst. U.S. index fate impacts global liquidity conditions, which in turn influence risk assets, including currencies. I mean, it does. And that's why as the dollar has been falling, Bitcoin has been gaining. But we thought Bitcoin would gain a lot more from the recent fall to the dollar, honestly. And in my humble opinion, you know, the ratio used to be a little better offset or more, I guess, more inversely correlated. So there was just more of a pump when the dollar dumped. The dollar index, which gauges the greenback's exchange rate against major global fiat currencies, fell 2.2% last week, its worst performance since November. The index dropped below 100, hitting the lowest since April. Still, Bitcoin traded primarily between 30 and 32,000, extending the multi-week consolidation, even as equities, including meme stocks, rallied. The negative relationship between DXY and Bitcoin is likely to return, as gyrations in the dollar index influence global liquidity conditions, which in turn affect valuation and risk assets, including cryptocurrencies. I mean, we know this, and we're waiting for it. The dollar recent decline has legs, according to Goldman Sachs. The dollar sold off sharply in response to cooler inflation and anticipation of a more patient Fed stance beyond July. We think this can extend into the near term because the same factors that weighed on this report look likely to softer still in the coming months. So if they stop raising rates, people don't want to be in the dollar, all right? It's going to be risk on assets like Bitcoin and the S&P and more stocks, and they're going to continue to grow. So this is key. I like what this is saying. And, and honestly, it says it's indifferent, but Bitcoin's just on its own little track. And you have to remember, it's summer trading. You don't get as much volume, so you're not as true to core traditional movements as you will when you settle back into September trading. You know, I've seen it for years. You got to kind of, trust my knowledge as that as a seasoned trader. So Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong to meet House Democrats about crypto legislation, says Bloomberg. Armstrong will meet privately with Congress members in the new Democratic coalition. That's really good to know, and it's a quick little excerpt, talks about it, in and out. But it's good to know that he's going to be able to sit down and actually have some type of discourse, talk about what helps people, show that he is not one-sided or, bipartisan. He just wants to get it done. Shout out to Brian. I hope everything goes well there. I hope he doesn't go coerced to do something. I hope it's not more of a behind-the-scenes, one of those nefarious things. I hope it's really about the people, for the people, and they get some work done. And he educates them, they educate him, and together they find some square ground, This is interesting, and I'm excited for this. I like to see news of that nature. Tokenize everything. Institutions bet that crypto's future lies in the real world. Long one of crypto's big ideas, tokenization may finally be ready for prime time. Wall Street is diving in, creating tokens for everything from buildings to gold bars. One advantage, relatively little regulatory scrutiny. So think of the biggest knocks on crypto. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin aren't real because they're not backed by hard assets. They're highly speculative, and yo-yoing prices can doom unsophisticated investors. Often they're even ridiculous with meme coins. You don't have to agree with these critiques. I don't, at least not fully, but the merits of these arguments aren't irrelevant. No, right? Like it or not, there are some reasons that most banks and financial institutions and governments and billions and normies have still not bought a lick of crypto, right? So this is talking about how you could tokenize things. And once people realize that things are backed by real world assets, I mean, they may actually be, and that's why I think NFTs still have staying power. Because at the end of the day, the NFT is something that no one else can touch. I like when the NFT comes with a real figurine or something that's physical. I think that helps. It's kind of, for me personally, I really like that idea. Not that you have to own the physical thing forever, but it'd be nice to keep it with it or to have, I just like that idea. And you'd say, well, what's the difference then? I don't know. I just think it's cool to have two things come with the NFT. We know the NFT's true value would be the actual NFT on the Ethereum network. But you could just keep the little like if the Bored Ape just came with a little mini Bored Ape that you could keep, somewhere. I don't know. I guess I'm still in touch with that physical piece of art, So that's the news for today. And some exciting stuff, some stuff that will kind of come to fruition later on, and some things that we want to look at. And it's good to see Coinbase, dealing with the Democrats, and it's good to see Bitcoin showing strength, and, that the dollar may actually sell off, may continue, which is really strong for Bitcoin as well.